There's four main symptoms of Parkinson's disease. First one is tremor. Now this is not a frantic type of tremor like this in any direction. It's a very rhythmical tremor. It tends to start on the dominant side of the body, which in my case is my right hand, and it's a very rhythmical tremor, and it's about at this speed, about like that. And it's typically a tremor when the hand is at rest. Could be the foot, it's most commonly the hand. So people often will start by just holding their hand to keep it in place, or put it in their pocket to keep it in place so that others don't see that the hand is tremoring. It's only, like I say, when the hand is at rest. So if someone were to, say, for example, had a tremor in their hand and then picked up a piece of paper, they could hold the paper without tremoring, or a cup of coffee or something. But once they put that out of their hand, the hand will again start to tremor. But the tremor is usually the very first one. The second one is a certain rigidity that comes about in muscles and in movement. So instead of a nice fluid, even walking pace like this with arms swinging and feet, there will often be, for example, one arm may stop swinging completely. That's often a common sign. Or there'll be a certain rigidity in the muscles. So people may start to walk up on their toes a little bit to keep their balance and be pushing. It looks like they're pushing themselves forward like that. So there's a certain rigidity that starts going on. Also, there's an akinesia happening, which is basically a slowness of movement, a bradykinesia or an akinesia of movement where everything tends to slow down. So movement isn't as quickly, it's not as fluid or as flowing as it typically is. And the fourth major one is postural. And the muscles in the back of the neck and in the top part of the back tend to be involved, and the person will start to stoop forward like this. So a very classical view of someone with Parkinson's is the older male stooping forward, sometimes with the tremor, and kind of shuffling forward like this. That would be absolutely a classical sign of someone having Parkinson's. Also, TRAP, that's how people think of themselves, that their body has trapped them inside their body, because the mind is not affected at this point, but the body is certainly fighting against everything that they do. And it's often the way it's described is that it feels like they're fighting against their own body to get anything done and to do anything that they would normally have been able to do. Fine motor skills start being lost, doing up buttons, for example, brushing teeth. People eventually may lose the ability to write because they can't control their hands. I know people who can't control a mouse, for example, so they can't use a computer anymore. And this is all because of the physical, these major, now there's more, but those are the major four of Parkinson's. Balance problems, as you can imagine, if you want to stoop forward and balancing like that on their feet, trying to balance, that's a real difficulty in moving around, getting into and out of chairs. So people spend a lot of time, well, I recommend that they spend time exercising and staying healthy as possible so that they can stay as mobile as possible and as interactive as possible with their family and friends. So exercising is good, music is good, singing is wonderful, it affects certain parts of the brain. Freezing spells is a really also a very awkward thing for people. As they're walking along, sometimes if they're going through a doorway or constricted a hallway or something visually impedes their way forward, is they will actually literally freeze where they are. So if they have a walker, if they're just walking forward, and they describe it as it feels as if their feet are nailed to the floor so that they can't move anymore. And what they can do about it is basically they sort of wiggle a bit until it snaps out, or they sometimes do a weight shift from side to side, and that can help them as well break out of it, and then they can move forward again. Sometimes to help alleviate that, what I recommend is that you help someone through, it tends to be like through a doorway or where there is a sudden constriction of movement, and to help them view through the doorway, sort of saying, oh, look at the picture on the far wall, or look out the window over there, and so that they don't see the restriction, and quite often that helps people. Or counting, or marching a little song or something that helps them keep the motion going of walking. Will help as well for the freezing episodes. Activities of daily living become more difficult to do. For example, they can use the neoprene sleeves on cutlery or pens and paper, pens and pencils, so that they can continue to write for a while. Parkinson's micrographia is quite a common symptom, where the line may start off looking appropriate with the correct size letters, but by the end of the line it's just little tiny scribbles and a little line, so that the writing ceases by the end of trying to create a line of writing, or writing numbers, writing down telephone numbers or something. You can read the first 3 or 4, but then, this becomes indecipherable. Speech becomes involved as well. Eventually, the voice box will permanently open, the larynx will permanently open, so speech becomes very low and very, very mumbled. As well, the neck and face muscles start being involved, and it's called the Parkinson's mask, where especially the muscles in this part of the face become frozen. And what that does is you lose a lot of your body language. You don't blink as often, so it looks like you're just looking like someone like that. You lose the ability to smile, or laugh, and laughter would look like this. It looks like you've got a permanent downturn in the mouth and frowning. Not so. It's the Parkinson's mask that is involving the neck and facial muscles like that. And if you lose your body language, that's 60% or so of how you express things. So you've lost your voice and you've lost your body language. So communication becomes much more difficult in that sense. Thinking and memory start to become involved. People may start to lose words. They lose their speech. They lose the meanings of words. It becomes difficult for them to interpret words. Especially negative words. They seem to lose the quality of understanding negative emotions, anger and fear and things. So it becomes more and more difficult to communicate as this part of the condition increases. To help with that, if you are dealing with someone with Parkinson's, I suggest you use smaller words. You use ask questions that are easily answered, like yes and no, or keep the topic very current, what's happening to the person now, instead of trying to develop philosophical or political discussions. It just might not be able to happen any longer. So for example, if someone with Parkinson's is sitting there and they're kind of looking a bit askance and they're blinking not quite as much, and the mask is involved, so that they're kind of looking like this. And then someone comes up and says, "Oh, isn't it a wonderful day today? And I've been out in the garden and I saw this and I saw some birds flying in the sky and it's a wonderful day for a walk." And then the person looks at them and says, "Yes." Because they're answering the original question, "Isn't it a wonderful day today?" And meanwhile, the person's carried on with the conversation without giving the person with Parkinson's time to take it all in, formulate the answer, and bring it back out. So patience is really important when dealing with somebody with Parkinson's and living with somebody with Parkinson's. Giving the person with Parkinson's, well, honoring that they have this condition for one thing, recognizing that it does impose restrictions on them, and honoring their attempt to stay involved with your discussion and conversations and with your life in general. Now, Parkinson's is a chronic condition. It means that you'll have it the whole rest of your life, but you don't die of Parkinson's, you die with Parkinson's, because it doesn't affect you to the point of termination, of death, but it does affect your quality of life. Also, the intercostal muscles in the chest start to become involved, so breathing becomes more shallow. Because the neck and throat muscles are involved, swallowing becomes a difficulty, so eating becomes difficult. And that whole social aspect of eating, of being with friends and family and enjoying yourself, that all has to change as well. So there's a lot of change that goes on in a person's life as they progress with Parkinson's. But anxiety and depression are two really big concerns. There are medications that people, there is no cure for Parkinson's, although there are medications that people take to alleviate some of the symptoms. Unfortunately, some of the medications, for example, can cause depression or can cause hallucinations or can cause other things to happen that you begin to wonder why. They may stop the rigidity and people have more fluid motion, but they may have these hallucinations every night. as they go to bed or as they sleep or something like that. So that's a big concern. Eating in public becomes difficult. A lot of people with Parkinson's self-isolate because they think they look funny and they don't want people staring at them the way, ooh, look at that, how funny they move. So they stop going out to dinner, they stop going to the theater, they stop going to concerts and things that they would normally enjoy and gave some value, added value to their entertainment. And they stop doing that and they stay at home and they self-isolate because of that. Now that's a really difficult thing to try to overcome, but to stay involved with interesting relationships with other people, with your family, it's so very important to keep connected with the world around you, the world that you used to use. Because you have Parkinson's and you suddenly withdraw from that, that makes a real difficulty. Because one person has Parkinson's as well in the family, it tends to be a family affair. It's not just the person, it's often their spouse or caregiver, siblings, offspring however large the extended family is. So this is a lot of support that people can get from all of these members of their family, extended family, as their condition changes. I won't say worsens, I'll just say changes. Throughout the course of the disease that they have. Because eventually, for some people, there are mental difficulties as well. Dementia may start, it's a specific type of dementia called Lewy body dementia, where it's not quite the same as the plaques and tangles of Alzheimer's, but there are clumping within the brain, in certain aspects of the brain, and it's very specifically called Lewy body dementia with Parkinson's disease. So, and that can happen. Maybe 20% of the people affected with Parkinson's will develop dementia and Lewy body disease as well. Music helps a whole lot for people with Parkinson's disease. Quite often they'll have music playing in the background in their home because it helps relieve any stress or anxiety. Stress and anxiety exacerbates all of these symptoms much more so than just normal. Keeping as anxious-free and as calm as possible is also becomes an activity for people with Parkinson's. Well, I'm continually surprised and always enchanted by people with Parkinson's and what they say they can do, and I always believe them that they can, because it may be a condition that you live with the whole life long, the rest of the life long, but it doesn't break the spirit. It's wonderful, wonderful people I know throughout where I work, the people I work with, and the people I work for. It's very inspiring. So thank you very much, and I hope there's been a quick introduction to Parkinson's disease and what you can do to help. Thank you.